Hello everyone, this is Altar of Wisdom. I'm restarting after quite a long time my series on the kick device, which I started like 2 years ago. I think it's been like 1 year since last time I shot something on this device. So I can tell you that the beginning of that session will be quite painful as I try to remember what I actually had been doing and where I actually was with regards to that device. But I can promise you that it's going to get faster as we go. So we'll start by just looking at the previous version of the device and where I stand now, because I've been doing quite a lot of modifications. After the first round of sessions in which I actually created the device, I decided to switch to a floating window mode. So I had to basically remove everything which was inside the device and copy it into a floating window, so another patcher. And I was about to start working on that. And actually now I'm gonna move on this part. The good thing is that in the meantime I've spent quite a lot of time improving my skills in terms of Maxforlive and especially on JavaScript things and UI management. So hopefully you're gonna learn new things as I go. And without further ado, let's get on to it. So I'm wrapping up a little bit on this project after quite a while doing plenty of other things on my devices and some VSTs as well. But I think it will be interesting to start over on this live coding thing on Max device. So let's have a look at where we stand. So we have this version. So if you remember, we had that version 0.3, which was quite acceptable, but from a tweak point of view, it was quite hard because of this small device window. So it's probably why I decided to switch to some floating window with regards to the settings. So now this is what we have. Actually nothing here, and it's not yet, everything is not yet connected because we were in the middle. So let's open this version, and this is where we were. It's been quite a while, so I need to gather my mind a little bit. So let's have a look at the main patcher. Maybe zoom a little bit. So what we have here, okay, this is the main parameters. So the length of the kick, the bass pitch for my pitch envelope, or the max one on the max pitch of the envelope. But currently, as you can see, they are connected to nothing. All this has been removed. Then this is our rendered kick, so it allows us to export the generated kick as a wave sample. Here we have the live playback processing. So it's using, there's a sampler here, so we'll have a look at that later on again. And this is our player, which will gather the click and the main part of the kick and play them according to their volume, and it can as well play the reference. Here the reference, display the name. We have the click, which is here. Again, we display the name, and then we have the kick counting here, which is the current window, which is displayed here, and here's where the thing should happen. So we'll connect that later on, but let's see where we were actually. So we covered, I think, things like resizing the window. Yeah, so we have at least that pitch envelope, which is following the size of the window. But we have the envelope currently which is not displayed. We have gathered this thing which was coming from the main part, so it gives us a visual representation of the level, the pitch level, and I think that's the amp level. It should be the amp level, but we'll see later. No, I'm not sure. Anyway, so quite a bit of work. We have here the reference kick that we can drop. So we'll need to connect that a bit differently to avoid having twice the same buffer. So probably some send and receive information. But let's get back to the editing view. It's a bit messy, so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time tweaking, organizing that. It's been a while. So we have plenty of stuff here. We have, again, this, which probably needs to get out of here because it's a player. I'm going to put this one here and the main one there. I just initially copied everything just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, but the MIDI processing can probably stay in the main device. It doesn't need to be in the subpatcher, so I'm going to remove that. It's identical, so okay, that's a bit better. Now, what do we have here? We have the grid. Okay, this is one of the envelopes, most likely. And here we have the envelope manager. So this actually will be changed a little bit because it's a bit awkward to pull the window size every second. I mean, usually what I'm gonna want to do is detect a window size change and then process that change. But that's no big deal for the moment, so I'm gonna keep that for later. This can move ahead. This is the export. Okay, this one can be duplicated because it might be interesting to export from the main device or from the envelope, right? Okay, this is something that actually doesn't seem to work. It doesn't do anything at the moment, so I'm probably not have the right proper name from my two envelopes. So let's check this one. I'm gonna keep more room for this one. So this one is named Pitch Editor, which is different because it's actually managing pitch envelope. So what I want to do is Pitch Editor here. So that's the one I want to show or hide. Like so. And now, yeah, not quite. I think it's not connected. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Oh, actually, both of them are connected, but this one is shown and this one is not on the presentation yet. Okay, so now if I switch back here, I should be able to, yeah. So, but it's not doing what I want because it's been taken from the main device. So I'm going to change that anyway. Logically, I would want to hide this one. I'm going to do send. So if I'm on pitch envelope, then I want to actually hide or show them. So hidden 0 when I'm selecting the pitch envelope. This one will be hidden 1. And I'm going to do the opposite when the amp envelope is selected. What is that? Okay. Should work better. Let's check. Yeah, I'm not changing anything on the envelope editor, so most likely we have the name wrong as well. So yeah, amp editor and not amp envelope here. Okay, so when I'm clicking on pitch, it will send a message to the pitch editor to be displayed and the end editor to be hidden, and the opposite when I select the envelope. Let's check it out. Yeah, okay, so we have one or the other, but not both at the same time. All right, what I could do, not sure if it's possible, at some point I would like to be able to display the pitch envelope even though we are editing the amp envelope, like some slightly transparent version, but I don't think we can do that simply, yeah, because it's the whole subpatcher, so yeah, it will be quite difficult to do so. So I may use a trick with using another function. Function, if you remember, is the object that we use to draw the lines and the curves, and I could use a function that would be displayed, but that would have a transparent layer. But that's, I think, something that we can keep for later on. I'm gonna write down all right, let's save. Yeah, this is nice, allowing us to edit one specific point. But what you have to do is really hover on it, which is a bit painful. What I would like to do is like locate the nearest point and have it selected automatically, but that's going to be painful to do using regular max patching. Yeah, let's open that subpatcher. That's I think that's this one, the yellow. Yeah. Size is fixed here because it's resized from the main one, and okay, yeah, it's already, there's already quite a bit of logic here occurring, and it's going to be a bit of a pain to adapt. That was clever, but I'm not sure if it's going to be really easy to do. Lately I've been working on the enveloper and also my upcoming device, which will be out in a few weeks, and I've actually switched many of that logic to using JavaScript, which is a bit more convenient for all this kind of algorithmic stuff when you have to use things like if-else and compute elements and do some mathematics. At some point, Max is getting a little bit out of hand and less readable than what you have. As you can see here, I'm storing the envelope points with their curves. I'm storing, I'm doing some computations with some really awkward things to see how close I am to a point. I may try to, yeah, but yeah, the key thing is that here is a way to be near a point and have it selected. But if I have 2 points which are really close, then that's not going to be enough. So what I want to do actually is measure the distance, not only on X, but on Y coordinates as well. So that if I have something like that, those 2 points are the same X position, but when I'm here I want to select this one, and when I'm there I'm going to select this thing, and I can't do that with the current thing. So maybe I have to, it's going to be a pain because I've spent quite some time, but maybe I need to do some JavaScripting here instead of using the regular patching thing. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is let this one as it is now, and maybe work on the pitch envelope, which will be the same kind of stuff, and this way I keep both meanwhile, and then I can do whatever I want. So this one, as you see, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's just the basic one with absolutely no change. It was that first simple version, but now what I can use is JavaScript. So I'm gonna add JavaScript, and I'm called that envelope manager, let's say. So if you open it, it's creating that, but the file doesn't exist. So I'm gonna press save and put that here. So I'm creating the actual file for envelope manager. So let's open this JavaScript file. The first thing you want to do is auto watch equal 1, which means that each time I make a modification in that file, it's going to be reloaded by Max. Not sure why it's not on by default, but this is something you have to do. Let's say that I have one inlet for the time being and one outlet as well. No, so the embedded editor in Max actually is compiling as you go. So each time you save, it's going to compile and check if something is wrong. Then yeah, I probably need a second output just to make sure I'm communicating with the envelope. So if you see now I have one output. If I save, I get the second outlet which appears, which means that my JavaScript is properly connected, and I'm gonna connect this second output to my envelope. So I will say that output will be used to send messages to the envelopes. Typically, what I want to do is having the dump values. If you, yeah, maybe like so. I'm gonna print. Display the console, and if I send a dump message to my envelope, oops, I get the list of points with their actual coordinate, which is good. Let's do something like that. I'm gonna keep my JavaScript to the left and the patcher to the right in case maybe that's a bit too wild, because usually I won't have these big lines. And so the dump messages, so if all that points in curve format, so it's not really that convenient, at least for editing, but so this is really what we want to have. And to set a point, we're using the XYZ messages. So if I press, if I remember worlds, if I press XYZ and say, where's that? Let's check the range. High domain display value. So let's say I'm going to put a point 200, 0.5 with a curve. If I click there, it's going to add a point at somewhere here, maybe the low and high, yeah, between 26 and 83, because that's pitch. So let's say 40, yeah, I still have my initial point. So anyway, so that's what, and if I dump again, then you'll see, that's probably the good way to see it. Just click on dump. Sorry, did it twice. So I see I have my initial point, which actually is duplicated, if I'm not wrong. And here I have the added points I've set. You see that I have some duplicated points, so most likely mistake for me. Anyway, so I have several options. I may use the envelope to the drone envelope to store my data, or I can use something else. So it can be an array, it can be a collection, but it can be as well what I've used lately, which a dictionary. So let's create a dictionary here and name it pitch dict. And now I can reference this. So that was the actual right proper one. So let's just keep this one here, this one there, and my main device, my main patcher here. So first I want to refer to my directory as D. So in JavaScript, you just say this is a new dictionary that actually refers to pitch dict. So each time my project will be loaded, or the patcher will be loaded, this JavaScript will automatically be linked to the content of that dictionary. And this is something which is actually saved with your Ableton project. So it allows you to restore the previous version. And it's pretty convenient as a storage. Not that convenient in terms of editing, so we'll see it's a bit verbose. Anyway, we gonna need some functions on that JavaScript. The first one will be at least to get the information from the envelope. Each time I change something in my drawing, then you can see that if I change something here, if you remember, the actual envelope will send a bang. So each time I change something in the drawing, a bang is sent there. So I want to intercept that bang to notify my JavaScript that the envelope has been changed. So I think this is pretty easy. You just have this bang function. So in JavaScript, inside Max, you actually will grab some messages. For example, if I say, if I have a message which will be curve, whatever, then if I send a bang to that, if I send that message, I'm going to have an issue because JavaScript is telling me that there is no function named curved. So I need to have a function which has the name of that message, and then the parameters will be in the message, the rest of the message. But now what I want to do is grab the bang message, which is a regular one. So this function will actually be updating that dictionary to the values which are in my envelope. So first will be to clear the dictionary. So I just remove everything which is in the dictionary, and then I'm going to have to add my points. To do so, it means that I need to intercept all the dump messages. But the thing is, how do I know that I've got everything I've got all my messages and all my data. This is not something I can do. So I need to make sure that I receive all my data from the curve in just one message, because here it's not the case. If I press done here, you see I have a lot of message, and I don't know since the beginning how many messages I will get. So I just can't know simply when this will be done. So I'm gonna have to do workarounds. So I'm gonna use the ZL, which is a list manager. So ZL group, which allows to group a list of incoming message for later use. So I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna connect the output of my dump to ZL group, but it's not only that. I need to first change the maximum size of my ZL group. By default, all ZL messages storage are limited to 256 elements, which is probably sufficient here. That would mean like 80 points. But let's just increase that a little bit. It's no big deal. And then actually when I dump, I want to do several things. So I'm going to have first to I want to clear my group to make sure that there's nothing left of a previous dump. Then I want to actually dump my function. And finally, I want to output that content of the group. And this I use like that. I think that's ZL clear that I want to send, if I remember well. And all this will be triggered by a single bank. So if I clear that and press bank, now you see that what my ZL group is outputting is the list of all my envelope points as just one single message, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. So instead of having this bank directly connected here, I will have this bank connected from the output of my group. So I need to add a late final bank here. Maybe not, no, not like that. Because actually when I get that, yeah, I'm going to send just prepend, and then I will name my function, and then my function will be update dict, because that's actually what I want to do when I get that dump. So I'm going to send update dict. So what the message will be, if I bang here, is no function update dict, of course, because now the message which is passed here contains the name. So instead of bang, it's going to be update dict, which will have some arguments. So let's just check how I can intercept the message list. Yeah. So I'm going to grab my arguments, which actually are an array. And my arguments will be all the numbers of my envelope. So what I want to do is make a loop. And for doing so, I'm going to make a loop, var index. So that's going to be, no, maybe not like so, because I'm gonna for each point I will have 3 elements, so that's a bit awkward. And what I want to do is something like while. So let's create an index starting at 0, which will be the first of my points, while the index is lower than I think that's length that we want. And then we're going to do nothing for the time being, just checking. Syntax error, yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, missing some, okay. No error, okay. So I'm gonna cover all the arguments. What I can do is, okay, no, anyway. And I will append in my dictionary. Let's just make sure. Oh, this is what the actual syntax is. Yeah, as you can see, the syntax of dictionary management is a bit heavy at first. So let's copy that and explain it a bit. So what I will create, I want to create, if you just have a look at the dictionary, it's actually a list which contains other lists. So I'm going to create an element which will be the point number. So my point number will not actually be index, but index divided by 3, because each point will take 3 elements. And yeah, and I will create the x coordinate based on index. Let's just check, we probably are doing things wrongly. Then I'm going to add y to y coordinate using index +1. So if I'm starting at 0, so my first element will be the first x coordinate, second element will be the y coordinate, and the third one will be the curve coordinate, the curve value. So exactly the same. Now C will be the curve. It's going to be +2. And at the end of that, what I'm going to make sure is that I'm going to increase my index by 3 to go to the next point. We can now directly check if it's working. So let's try and trigger this, this update. Okay, no directory create name for. So I may need to initialize and to create that the index value. So that's not maybe not a set that I want to use, but append, which will actually add if necessary. Because anyway, I'm starting from an empty dictionary. Let's check if it's working any better. Yep. At least I don't have a mistake, an error. So and I can open my directory, my dictionary, and here is what I was expecting. I now have a list. So a combined amount of lists. Each one, so we have a list of points, a number of points, and for each point I have 3 sub-values, which are the x coordinate, y coordinate, and c coordinate. And this is actually something that will be stored with my patcher. Yeah, parameter enable, and I'm going to activate the store value, so this will be stored with my project. But I think we're good. So next I want to trigger an update of my dictionary each time I no, that's wrong. Each time I change something in my envelope, so I'm connecting here and there. So if I, for example, modify a point, let's remove this one. And I open my dict. Now my dict has less points. there's a way to check directly. Dict.view allows to see the content of a dictionary. I need probably to bang this, yeah, to check to see the content. And now I'm able to watch the content of my dictionary as I change it. Yeah, you see that this point has been changed. If I remove points, yeah, good. So now we have the first step, which is storing the dictionary, the envelope inside of a dictionary. The second step will be the opposite. So I'm not sure yet how we'll trigger that, but probably when I load the project, the first thing we're gonna do is trigger a dump from here to my envelope. So something like live.this device. This is, as you remember, something which is triggered when the Maxforlive device is loaded, and this bang will generate the message which will be output envelope or update envelope, because we have update dict. If I want to be a bit clear, update envelope. And so when I load the device, I'm doing the opposite. I'm sending from my dictionary to the envelope. There will probably need some things to do. We'll check later if it's necessary. For example, I'm not storing things like the low range, high range of my envelope, but all these are already stored somewhere, so I may not need to do that inside the dictionary. That's the trouble when you have some values to store, and you have different ways of storing them. The length, the minimum pitch, maximum pitch, the amp envelope, and all that things. And I have a dictionary, have some stored parameters around as well. And sometimes you wanna group everything inside the dictionary because it makes sense. But this is not directly related to this one. Or it could be normalized. For example, say that I want my dictionary always to refer to my global values between 0 and 1 in X coordinate, and same in the Y coordinate, and then no matter what I do, I don't have to update. So that's maybe something that we have to do, and then update these values from my JavaScript. That would be a bit more versatile. So let's just change that. So that's gonna be between 0 and 1, and hide display value, so it's gonna be 1. Whoop. Yeah, it's just that's now I'm going to clear the envelope because it's containing wrong elements, and now I can create points. But as you can see, I think I'm missing something. Yeah, there's one additional point which is probably not needed, so this should be strictly lower probably. So let's check what it does. Yeah, 0, 1, 2. Now I've got the proper number of points. Okay, and this way, anyway, this won't be useful. That's the updater that I wanted to do. So we were to the point of doing the update on the opposite side. So my function will be update envelope with nothing else. And firstly, I want to clear my envelopes, so I'm gonna post. I'm gonna output, or is it outlet? No. Let's check. Outlet, yeah. So outlet, and so you have to know that in JavaScript the outlets are named starting from 0. So my second outlet would be outlet 1, and I want to send a message to my envelope which says clear. So I want to clear the envelope, and then from there I will add the points. So let's do that. So we have some temporal variables, and I have my index, which is actually 0. And then now what I will do is, while my dictionary contains my index, or at least a sub-array which is my index, so I have to convert it to a string because I'm storing this index as strings. I've tried to use direct numerals, but it doesn't seem to work. So I'm checking that the subdirectory containing with this index exists. So as long as it exists, I can read my values. So x would be getting. So I'm getting the So I'm reading from that subdirectory, addressing the x value. I will do the same for the y and c values. Y, C, and then I'm gonna output to the same outlet a message with the prefix XYC, which is interpreted by the function here as creating a new point and giving its coordinates and curve, and with X, Y, C as arguments. And finally, I'm gonna increase index to the next one. So it's gonna be a bit more awkward to test. Anyway, let's see what it does. At least first I have no errors, but what I wanna do is change manually maybe my my dictionary, so that's something that you can do. So let's say the first point will be 1, second point will be 0, and third point I'm going to change the x coordinate and put it at 1, saving. No, just closing is enough to save, I think. Let's oh, there is an error. Oh, yeah, 0, 1. I think you can't do that. Yes, it's been updated, and now if I click on update envelope, it should update the output envelope, and it doesn't work. So let's see. Oh, no data. Let's check that I'm actually calling the proper function. Update envelope. Yeah, should work. So let's make a message on the console using post update envelope. Oh, no function. Okay, so my function name is definitely wrong. Or maybe I didn't save. Update. Let's just copy the... for some reason it doesn't find the actual function. That's a bit weird, because I know it exists. Oh, there is a missing. There's an error. My fault. Yeah. Okay. No error. That's gonna work. So now I have my dictionary, which is different from the contents of my envelope. So if I click update envelope, now I have my points which have been changed accordingly. So that's what we want at initialization. Okay. So as you can see, this is quite simpler to the actual value. And then we were using that hover thing, if I remember well, to check where I was inside of my values. So let's see what was the actual output mode. Output mouse information. So when mouse report is set to 1, a 3-item list of the mouse data is output from the third outlet. The list contains the mouse current position on the X and Y axis and the current point under the mouse pointer. And there is no point. -1 is output. So I'm gonna use that. So that's the third output. So as you can see, it's the same output which is used for dumping and for mouse report, which is a bit annoying because there's no simple way to distinguish between updating and not updating. So I will need to do that myself. So what I know is that when I'm changing the envelope, I'm going to send a bang. And this bang will trigger the group. So I know that once I start this, the mouse report is inaccurate. And once it's finished, it's accurate again. So I'm going to gate or switch. Let's check. That's not a gate, that's a switch that I want. I always miss. So a switch will allow me to output messages to one or the other direction. And no. That's gate. That was gate, sorry. So instead of connecting directly, I'm gonna gate these messages, sorry, check that. And if I'm outputting the mouse position, then I'm going to output from there. And if I'm outputting the dump, then I'm outputting from there. So this will trigger my group, and then I'm going to prefix that with mouse to know where is the mouse. I'm going to change that, but anyway, for now it's okay. And the difference I need to make is that I want to switch the output depending on what I'm doing. So, so if you remember, gate, 0 closes the gate, and then if I'm using 1 or 2, then I'm selecting 1 or 2 for the messages. So if I'm dumping, I will select the right outlet. But when I've finished, I'm going to select again the second outlet. So let's make this clear. So 1 will be sent here. The ZL clear goes there. Then we have the bang. We have the second bang as well. And we have here the bang, the choice of output. So if I just intercept that, I'm going to press bang. And now you see that my mouse is output here, but here I don't have the message anymore. But if I change something, my envelope is actually updated. So that's what I want to do. As you see, it's telling me that I'm hovering over the first point, but actually I need to be on that point to to do that. And I want to have something a little bit more clever and know which point I'm the closest. So that's going to be a tiny bit of algorithmic, which I'm going to probably look for offline and not have you tweak myself, have you watching me trying to find the proper algorithm to measure the minimum distance. I mean, this is a problem which has been solved like probably thousands of times over the internet or through whatever ChatGPT, whatever. So I'm gonna find that thing offline, and I will report back as soon as I have the solution, and that's pretty much it. So a few clicks later, I got something which is a raw version which has been generated by ChatGPT. I'm going to adapt that, of course, for my need. So my function will be named mouse, as I told you. It will have 2 arguments. So let's say that my x argument is arguments 0. And the y coordinate is arguments 1. So this is the current position of my mouse inside of my domain. I mean, it's just not the actual position of the mouse, but it's the position of the x and y coordinate, which depends on my envelope minimum values and domains. And now I'm gonna have this. Let's use var. Var allows me to have local variables and have memory released when I quit. So var closest would be -1. So this means that it's not actually initialized. The current index I'm checking will start at 0, which will be the first index point, and the min distance will actually start by something which is ridiculous, like 1000. So I'm sure that the first point will trigger the update. And now I'm gonna use the same type of stuff I've done here. So I'm reading from my dictionary. So as long as there's an index, I'm gonna have, so I have a problem that I have 2 points. So let's say that's gonna be mx, so my mouse x and my mouse y. This I won't need. And the curve won't be used either. And then I'm gonna measure the distance from mouse to the point. So yeah. So the distance is math.t. So x minus mx power to the power of 2 plus y minus my to the power of 2. And this is the actual distance, the current distance. So if the dist is lower than the current min distance, then min dist becomes dist, and closest becomes current index. And then I can increase the index, and once I'm done, I'm gonna return the closest index. Maybe I want to return the actual positions of the current index if we need that. Is that gonna be useful or not? Or no, I can actually, yeah, but can be useful to actually display without rereading. So let's read the curve, so I can output that as well, even though if not it's not used. But in the I do so, I want to store. Let's create new variables. So closest x, closest y, iy, and the closest curve. List with index. So x, say x, cx equal x equal x, cy equals y, and cc equals c. And now what I can do in JavaScript is return all these at once. This is pretty nice. However, I'm not sure I want to return anything because mouse, if you remember, is triggered by max. So there's no actual function currently which is here. So let's switch to edit, and actually I'm gonna replace that by prepend mouse, and now we're gonna replace this with Command Alt V. And now if I update the mouse, yeah, maybe something I can do is post all that. To check how it works. Return has no sense for now, but whatever. And let's see what it does. Oh. No function, envelope manager. It's calling the right. Oh, no function mouse. So there's an error somewhere. 58, yeah, sometimes there are some functions which actually don't exist in Max, so I'm not sure if this power of 2 actually exists. Let's see if it changed anything. If I replace that by the actual computation, yeah, okay, power of 2 doesn't exist, at least on that shape. So now let's see. Okay, so C is not defined, and line 65, yeah, and that's my error. And I'll define the variables here. Okay, you see it's already outputting things. So let's check how it does. So, yeah, I'm gonna need to add some carriage return at the end. Okay, that's clear. So if my mouse is anywhere, nothing's happening. But if I go up on that point, so I'm closer to point 0, now I'm closer to point 1, and then I'm closer to point 2. And it's giving me the values of that point and the curves. That's exactly what I want. So the only trouble is that I'm not able to highlight actually the point which is the closer one in something like a halo around the point. But that's, yeah, that would be better, but it's not critical. But at least my mouse is now getting the value. Is now reporting the current, the closer point and its value. So this is something that I can intercept here and combine to create some editable value. And as you can see, all that logic is for now sounds at least simpler than what I used to have, apart from this awkward thing to manage. Let's clear a bit. The set domain will remove the set range as well, because it won't be used, at least not this way. Yeah, okay. Let's save it all. So I'm going to remove the post from here because it's outputting to the output envelope as well. That's it. So the next thing I want to do is update this depending on the values I get. So let's check what my inputs are. Duration. Okay, so that's the duration. So that's exactly what I want to use because I want a ratio between the X value and the duration. So I'm going to output that through the first outlet. And I'm going to create a message containing all this so I can route it if need be. So if you see here, it's doing nothing. Okay. Yeah, there's an error. So I'll add that line. Missing. Oh, yeah. My bad. Okay, good. So, okay. So I'm actually getting here that message, which I want to process, which contains several things. The number of points, the number of the closure points, sorry, and it's X, Y, and Z coordinate. So the X has to be multiplied by, so I'm going to make sure I'm only using closest. So I'm routing closest to this first outlet. Now I can unpack, and I'm going to have one integer, which is the closure point, and 3 floating point values. The integer there is nothing to display here at the moment, so I'm going to create that. So it's nothing, yeah, it's an integer which is displayed as an int. Then I have the X coordinate, which I need to multiply by my range. So I want to multiply as float. This is why I'm using point. And this will be the value in milliseconds. The Y coordinate is going to be a bit trickier because here is going to be a MIDI note that I want to get. Sorry, no, not needed to do so. So I'm going to use, in that case, scale, knowing that 0 would mean the minimum value and 1 would mean the maximum value. So I'm going to use this. And I'm using the output of that. So I need to scale from 0 in decimals, 1 in decimals as well, to 0, 127, but this will be changed because the minimum output value will be here and the maximum output value will be there. So let's just make sure that I have something displayed. And now if I change things, sorry. Yeah. So now I'm totally on the minimum, and so I should be at A minus 1. That's it. When I'm close to that value. Good. And now I need just to update. Let's get to the main device and update the values. No, that's keep config. I think it's this one I want to use, and I have the second input, which is my actual duration. So let's say 500 milliseconds. So now I actually have 500 here, yeah. And so if I hover a point, my point is now in the proper values of milliseconds. So I can edit. Great. Looks good. Not yet there, because now I have something which is proper in terms of editing, but I need to output. Let's go to config, put it on the left. But now it's the probably the output of that is not what I wanted. So I'll see. So that's the minimum, the maximum, but I need that thing which is the actual dump. I'm not sure if it's properly used now. So that's the first outlet which is used there. And as you can see, it's not it's not in the right time domain, because all my values are now here between 0 and 1, whereas they should be between 0 and my range. So let's just clean a little bit. So my dictionary can go to the left. It's not needed here. This is going to be the initial message. That's going to be the functions of my JavaScript. This I can remove. Sorry. And so anything which goes from there, which would first have to be unpacked as 3 floating points. And the first one has to be multiplied exactly like it is here. And then we're going to pack again to recreate the same list, but using the proper time domain. And now we should be good. It's a bit awkward visually, but that'll do for now. So now let's just update this. Then I'm gonna edit my curve, and what has been output there is values in between 0 and 1, but here I got values in time domain. So this is why my curve is receiving. So it's able to play at least for the x value. Yeah, so we have the proper x value. The y value is between 0 and 1. Yeah, and we have the minimum and maximum pitch, which is coming from there, which is outputted as a second and third output. Yeah, we can do that. Don't need to have that many. That's awful what it does at the main window here. It's just totally screwed up. But it's gonna be cleaned up a bit later. All this is tiny bit difficult to read, but I'm not sure there's a simpler way. I can align this one to pass it here, but the rest, yeah, the group would probably need to be somewhere here. Yeah, that's slightly better. The gate as well can be in the middle between this and this. Yeah, that's okay-ish. All right. So what is this thing doing? So that's the minimum. So that's the current value. I'm not sure the reason of this one. It shouldn't receive, I don't think it should receive this value. So between 0 and 1, oh yeah, so that's, so 0 and 1, yeah. And I'm not sure what, okay, yeah, that's output 1, which is the minimum, okay. But so in that case, oh, there's another one which is wrongly, so we gotta make sure that this one is to the right. So let's push that slightly to the right, like so. A bit better. Not yet sure how I'm gonna use that. Anyway, let's move ahead and continue cleaning up a little bit. So closest I can remove that message. That's the trouble. You want to work on several things at the same time, so it's usually not a good idea. I'm gonna have this curve value, so let's remove, let's add a new one. So this is gonna be the curve, so it's gonna be a float between -1 and 1. It's gonna be displayed as floating point. So all this should be hidden. Yes, still I need to be able to modify this curve. So yeah, anyway, I mean, yeah, there was that thing, which is a bit annoying, because if I move my mouse, then I can't actually get out of the function to modify this, because I will change the latest hovered point. So this is something I need to change, I think, in my mouse function. Not really sure how to do so. There's a thing I've done lately, which would be creating some kind of pop-up on the mouse positions, so I can edit things while I'm around them. Let's see if I can do that. Using hover. So hover allows you, oh no, that's not hover, that's mouse state. Mouse state. Mouse state is actually a little bit different from this mouse messages, because it's actually giving you where the mouse stands in the screen. So mouse state will first need to be activated. So with the load bank, load mess poll, which actually ask the mouse state to output values. And so we have different things. We have horizontal and vertical location. So let's just display this. Maybe we're floating integers. So here it's not working, so I'm going to load this message. And now, as you can see, I know exactly where my mouse is. That's going to be some work, because I want to convert the mouse value here. Not quite. I mean, what I want to do is move these things around where I'm located. And to be able to change them without having to get farther from the current editing point. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but let's see. So let's give names to that thing. So this is gonna be pitch point number. Pitch X. So pitch Y and pitch C. And so I have these things. Actually, they measure 44/15, and then I can use these values to have this follow along my mouse. So it's going to be probably a lot of dispatcher, but I can do that actually in JavaScript as well. So I can probably simplify a little bit, at least visually, and do that within the envelope manager. Let's say mouse position. So MX would be the current mouse position, so arguments, sorry, 0. MY would be arguments 1. So now I actually know where my mouse is. And I need to use the sandbox thing, so let's check the documentation. So I'm gonna check the documentation and report back, so with a tiny break. So there's this little page in Cycling74 server, which allows us to discuss with a patcher or with an object within Max from JavaScript. So what I'm wanting to do is something like that, patching rectangle. So this is something that you can actually do from within. I'm not really sure what we need to do to discuss with an object, because here we have Max object message patching position, but it has to be applied to a Max object, so we need first to define an object. And for that, I think I had a nice function. Let's check it out here, which I've grabbed somewhere. I don't even know, probably from Cycling74 as well, which allows to find an object given its name. That's it. Let's just copy that function into our JavaScript here. And what this does is, provided that we give it a name of an object, it will return the corresponding object if it finds it, or null if it doesn't. The thing is, if using Max in an Ableton environment, then you see all these dashes which I'm prepending before my objects, like this one. And this causes trouble because this is replaced when you add the device to your live project. These 3 dashes are replaced by random numbers to make sure that if you have 3 different times the same device, they are They don't share the same actual values, but it means that if I'm just looking for that, it won't work. So I've adapted this function so that it starts by removing these three first objects and finds anything which is which corresponds. So this is what I'm gonna use. So mouse position. So let's maybe whatever. Might change that later on, but so that's going to be var. Let's show the patcher as well. So we have this 4 object that we want to move. So the first one will be looking at this. So I'm yeah, not easy to find a proper name, so that's gonna be, let's be simple, stupid, pitch point number equals find obj. Then we have the second one, which is pitch x. Let's just copy that. Then we have the y value. And finally, the curve. So now these 4 variables should allow us to directly discuss with the corresponding objects as it is here. Which is, what is a bit weird is why we have different things between move object and this, but we'll try use this one. So it's not the patching position which I want, but the presentation rectangle. Let's make sure that I'm not doing things wrong. So patching so that patching position is a bit different, it doesn't exist. So it's a bit weird. So let's use that a little bit more awkward syntax, but nonetheless, let's try to do so. So I told that my values were 4415, so it's going to be 4415 anywhere, width and height, and the x position. So sandbox to max objects, so that's going to be pitch point number, for example, var name, and I'm setting the mouse position. So let's, for example, put it at the exact position of the mouse. I know it's wrong, but we'll correct that later on. And it's saved. And now I need to have mouse position outputted. So let's do that. So it's gonna be mouse position. Let's say back mouse position. And it's gonna be integer, and normally if I connect this here and there, I'm getting a message which contains exactly what I want. So the comment one mouse position and then the x and y coordinates. So let's connect that to the envelope manager, and as you see, it's doing something. Not exactly what I want. But I think I know why. So you see that actually my object is moving, but let's see, 3, what's 3? Yeah, not a. It's because I have absolute coordinates from here, but I'm not on presentation mode, so actually I'm doing things weirdly, because should not move anything on oh yeah, sorry, my bad. That presentation rectangle that I want to change. Okay, let's grab this little thing, and now you see that we have the presentation rectangle which is moving. Let's see what it does in actual presentation. So it's probably wrong because I probably need to correct my mouse reporting so that it's not absolute. So as you can see here, it's absolute to my screen, so it's not within my patcher. I probably can change that. Yeah, so that's mode 1, which I want to do. So I'm gonna get the mouse position relative to mouse state patcher. So mode 1, normally I can do that here. Mode 1. No, it doesn't accept that message. Okay, and so I'm gonna do this like so. So here I was in 2000, etc. Now if I switch, you see that I'm starting from the whatever. It's not exactly the patcher. 0, yeah, frontmost patcher. Not sure what it's actually using. Mode 1. Or let's try mode 2. It's a bit weird. Yeah, 0. So now I'm actually from the bottom of my patcher. So I should have something better. Oh yeah, as you can see now I have the display which is following my mouse. That's exactly what I wanted. The problem is that if I want to click, if I want to change something, I want to be able to click on that object, but it's actually moving with the mouse. So I'm not trying to follow the actual position of the mouse, but the nearest point position, and I want to display something around that. So that was quite a long session. It was actually quite slow at the beginning, as I told you. However, I think that now I'm getting a better grip at where I'm going in terms of this device. So we'll continue that on the next session, which hopefully will occur next week. That's all for me. Thanks for watching. Cheers.